The ABG Shipyard scam has been hogging the limelight in the last couple of weeks. Why is this case critical? Because this is believed to be India's biggest banking fraud, involving amounts to the tune of 22,842 crores. This scam is much bigger in size compared to the scams involving Vijay Mallya, Nirav or Mehul Choksi. The Surat-based company ABG Shipyard is a flagship company of the ABG Group and has repaired and built ships for the Indian Navy and the Indian Coast Guard. The Government of India had given clearance to the company to build even warships for both the Navy and the Coast Guard. So how did a company that was so trustworthy in the eyes of the government pull off the biggest banking fraud ever? According to the investigating agencies, the ABG Group as of now owes 2,925 crores to the SBI. Not just the SBI, the company owes 7,089 crore rupees to ICICI Bank, 3,634 crores to IDBI Bank, 1,614 crores to Bank of Baroda, 1,244 crores to Punjab National Bank, and 1,228 crores to Indian Overseas Bank. Not just to these 6 banks. According to the CBI, the company ABG Shipyard is believed to have cheated almost 28 banks in total. So what is this scam all about? ABG started availing loans from banks in 2005. But due to non-payment of dues, the account turned into an NPA, that is a non-performing asset, in 2013. This was clearly established by a forensic audit carried out by Ernst & Young in 2019. The audit revealed that the group's funds from banks were diverted to other related companies. The CBI has said that the loans were not used for the purposes availed for. The company allegedly diverted the loans to 98 related companies and created shell companies to launder the money. The CBI started investigating this banking fraud after receiving a complaint from the State Bank of India in August 2020. After the scam surfaced in the public domain, several difficult questions are now being asked to the SBI on why the State Bank of India filed a complaint in August 2020, even when it had first identified the fraud way back in January 2019. To these questions, the SBI had recently said, typically, when a fraud is declared, an initial complaint is preferred with CBI, and based on their inquiries, further information is gathered. In a few cases, when substantial additional information is gathered, a second complaint incorporating full and complete details is filed, which forms basis for the FIR. At no point in time, there was any effort to delay the process. But what is noteworthy are these lines from the SBI statement, where the bank can be seen stating that it was the ICICI Bank that had loaned more money to the ABG Group than the SBI. The statement reads, although ICICI Bank was the lead lender in the consortium and IDBI was the second lead, it was preferred that SBI, being the largest PSB lender, lodges the complaint with CBI. In this portion, the SBI is seen sympathizing with the ABG Group. The bank states, due to poor performance, the account became NPA on 30/11/2013. Several efforts were made to revive the company operations but could not succeed. However, as the shipping industry was going through a downturn, one of the worst ever seen, the operations of the company could not revive. The point is, if the shipping industry was going through a downturn, does it give license to these companies to go about defrauding banks and laundering public money? The question is, the fraud has clearly been going on for many years now. How is it that none of the 28 banks realized this? And how did the fraud go undetected for so long? Although the fraud was first detected in June 2019, what led to the delay in registration of the FIR by the CBI? The fraud was identified by June 2019 by a fraud identification committee in a meeting, and the first complaint was made to CBI by the SBI in November 2019. The CBI registered an FIR in the case only in Feb 2020. After registering the FIR, the CBI had recently questioned Rishi Agarwal, the former chairman and managing director of the company, and along with him, many others related to the company have been quizzed. The CBI is also now investigating the banking officials for their role in lending money so carelessly to a group to see if bribes were exchanged, due diligence was not carried out, and whether there was a collusion between bank officials and the owners of the company, like what we saw in many previous bank fraud cases. On the other hand, the Enforcement Directorate has also stepped in to investigate the money laundering angle in the case. But while all this is happening, just like how we saw in the Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi and the Vijay Mallya case, there is once again a political blame game going on between the Congress and the BJP on who is more guilty for giving the long rope to ABG Group. This is what Congress party spokesperson Randeep Surjewala said in a tweet. SBI to CBI, CBI to SBI, SBI to CBI. CBI, SBI and Modi government were writing love letters to each other for years, deliberately dragging it into bureaucratic wrangling as public money went down the drain and fraudsters gained.
लूटो और भगाओ, जनता का पैसा लुटवाओ और फ्रॉडस्टर्स को भगवाओ। ये मोदी सरकार की फ्लैगशिप स्कीम है बैंक फ्रॉडस्टर्स के लिए। हिंदुस्तान का सबसे बड़ा बैंक घोटाला 22,842 करोड़ रुपए का मोदी सरकार की नाक के नीचे और उनकी प्रत्यक्ष और परोक्ष सहमति से घटित हुआ है। 3 महत्वपूर्ण तथ्य। पिछले 7.5 साल में मोदी सरकार में 5,35,000 करोड़ रुपए के बैंक फ्रॉड्स हुए। पिछले 7 साल में मोदी सरकार में बैंकों ने देश के लोगों की 8,17,000 करोड़ रुपया राशि बट्टे खाते में डाल दी है। तीसरा, मोदी सरकार के 7 साल में बैंकों के एनपीए में 21 लाख करोड़ का इजाफा हुआ है।
But the BJP has been saying no. The scam did not take place during our time. It was during the Congress's time that loans were given and the group was declared a non-performing asset too during Congress's rule.
This is actually an account which became an NPA before 2014 January. In fact, November 2013 is when it was declared an NPA. Is if it is a pre-2013, and I'm sitting in RBI premises, so I don't want to talk too much of politics, but I'm sorry, the kind of noise which is coming up is saying, oh, biggest Ghotala in Prime Minister Modi's time. Not at all. This was a loan given prior to 2013, well prior to 2013, that it had become even an NPA by 2013. So, people dig holes into which they themselves fall. Okay? Now, Hindi mein apne pair par kuladi. That's exactly what has happened here. They made the noise, not realizing that it was all then.
यहां तक अब तथ्य सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि किस कालखंड में हुआ। अपने कार्यकाल के अंतिम दिनों में मार्च सन 2014 में एबीजी शिपयार्ड का लोन रीस्ट्रक्चर किया गया, उसका पुनर्निर्धारण किया गया। और अगर आप कुल टाइमलाइन देखें तो जून 2011 में 970 करोड़ रुपए, जनवरी 12 में 500 करोड़ रुपए का ऑर्डर दिया गया, मार्च 14 में रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग कर दी गई, और जब ऑडिट रिपोर्ट आई तो 2016 में फाइनली ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में उन्हें दोषी पाया गया और उसके बाद फ्रॉड घोषित किया गया हमारी सरकार के कार्यकाल।
While our political parties continue to spar over the timeline of events, the fact is that this fraud has been going on for quite some time now. Both the BJP and the Congress must equally take responsibility and own up. And when the matter concerns public funds, taxpayers' money in the biggest scam of the country, the question is not when it happened, but the question one must ask is, why and how did this happen?